All right, well, let's get into this one. Ottomans versus Japanese. This is a matchup which heavily favors the Ottomans, but I had to click on this. If there's one person I have faith with right now to do something spicy, different, confusing, and incredible, it's Avali fan number 2, a.k.a. Baltoon, the Swede himself, in the pink, playing as the Japanese, going up against the one and only Louis MT on the Ottomans. This is going to be a fun one. And I am 95% sure that this is Baltoon, by the way. And thank you very much for the gifted sub, Camion. So they're ranked 11th on the leaderboard. They were 16th last season, 29th before that. They are from Sweden. I can't think of anyone else that this is. Like, the Baltoon was around top 10 before, and I can't see him anywhere else. Unless he happens to be Sun Tzu. No, that's a German account. 12th, maybe? Chinese account. Yeah, this is Baltoon's account. The only other possibility is that Baltoon is sunk by like 30 ranks when I wasn't looking, but considering that I'm looking basically every day because I live and breathe Age of Empires 4, like it's tapping through my vein to the point that if there was an Age of Empires vampire, they would sink their teeth into me first. I think I'm safe in my estimation that this is the wonderful Baltoon. He'll literally just turn up in the chat after this game, I'm guaranteeing it. So, Ottomans versus Japanese. There's a really big reason why this is heavily favored towards the Ottomans, and it's all to do with the meta. The meta with the defense aura with the melee armor +2 completely nullifies a lot of Japanese's capabilities in the early game in its entirety. So it's a very, very difficult situation for the Japanese to fight out of. Now, that should mean your goal is to get into castle. But the interesting thing about castle rushing here is that goes both ways, right? Ottomans, if we're being totally real here, they basically got nerfed at one point. One point that really mattered in their game. Feudal Age. Their Feudal Age got fully kneecapped. Their castle and beyond isn't bad. If they can reach that point in the game, they look very strong. And you know what's going to make Louis look even stronger? You guys got to remember, Louis has a very particular build at the moment. One you're going to get a little glimpse of in a second. You see, well, yeah, I just realized we've still got the score up. Let me close that score. This is not a tournament game, just to recap for people. But there's an interesting detail here, actually, and it's the build which Louis goes for. You may have seen it already before. It is something to marvel at. He doesn't go for Madrissa. He's not a berry boy, because you picked Ottomans. Who cares about berries when you can have gold, baby? Got to make Constantinople the trade king city that it once was. And that's exactly what Louis is going to be doing today. Sultani Trade Network now on the way. This build is wild, by the way. It's all about fast castling. The interesting thought about this, by the way, is usually like the counter to Ottomans doing fast castles to all in them. But why would Japan ever all in the Ottomans in Age 2? Considering that melee armor +2 that they can get completely makes you hit like a kin. You're going to want to go fast castle yourself. So all of a sudden you have a castle age race, which actually the Ottomans can do pretty well in. Louis likes to go for the Imam point build, which means you can contest relics on the map from the Japanese. You might wonder, well, how is that possible when Japan can just rush out Mounted Samurai? The reason is you have to realize that an Ottoman player can position his Imams here for when the tech up completes. Meanwhile, the Japanese player will have to tech up, drop out the Yurishiro, and then wait 12 seconds for the first Mounted Samurai to come out, right? So it's quite feasible for an Ottoman player to get 3 of the 5 relics in this matchup, which is a huge deal when you consider that is a very big power spike the Japanese lean on. Opening Wise Eye Louis is going to be on the move. Very smart choice here, right? Goes on to the gold. Already idols Avali fan out, which... What? Okay, 2 possibilities here. He did not expect to be attacked, or he's playing long feudal. He's playing long feudal. Maybe not long, but he's playing present feudal, right? Like, think about this. Let's be real about this. You're playing Japanese. You're against the Ottomans. Ottomans that always, without failure, open with a military school at the moment. Like, this is the ingrained meta. 90% of Ottoman games will be a military school before Feudal Age. So you're expecting spears. There's no way knowing this. Having the amount of games which Pink does, having the consistent rank in the top 30, that they aren't going to drop an outpost if they're rushing castle. So yeah, this is a different build. And I'm here for it, but I'm also a little bit worried, right? Because if this gets a little bit out of hand and you play too long of a Feudal Age, you can get destroyed. Who is Pink? We've said it seems to likely be Baltoon. It should be Baltoon. Because, oh, wait. No, stand by. It should be Baltoon. There was a possibility someone was highlighting that maybe it's Wham. I don't think it is. This is the problem of introducing VPNs to a community of RTS gamers where I track them based on their country origins. Yeah, we're going to see the Owner Bagisha come out. This is good to just push away the Spearman, and it will get him the space. So it looks like maybe there was a mistake made there by Pink then. Yeah, that's kind of wild. There's no way they intended to do it this way, right? They didn't expect any aggro. So that's intriguing, because Louis, I've seen him do this build a few times, and he always goes for the military school opener, right? From what I can recall anyway. It's almost like Pink's in a more recent version where Louis full-on greeds and gets the Sultanate trade network straight away. Because the way that he played this opening, there's no way that you would idle your gold that way if you knew the spin were coming, right? You just commit to the outposts. But now that it's been committed to, shouldn't see more military units coming out. It should just be a fast castle. The cool thing about doing this is maybe Pink's just trying to bait Louis more, right? Because like you see on the Bagisha, you might commit to archer range. But Louis being very responsible here. Only passive archers, passive spears coming out. That's enough to push this away. And it means that actually you're in a situation where if you're not quick, your berries could get idled out before you've taken them all. Crazy thing is actually he didn't go for Takazaiku. If he did, they'd already be exhausted. There's an interesting balance, right? Like if you're in a fast castle race, doing Takazaiku can somewhat feel detrimental to your timing slightly. If your opponent's playing a little bit more aggressive, then Takazaiku kind of pays off because it gets rid of the risky resources quicker. So you get the full value out of this and then retreat towards the TC. They should have a decent amount to retreat with, right? Yeah, we've got 10 sheep compared to, what, 11 on the other side? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, those sheep were the Anatolian Hills point. One thing that is interesting here, by the way, is that we haven't got trade going on. I feel like this is the type of game where you could have traded once or twice, but I guess the distance doesn't really feel that enticing when it spawns on this side. You could have went to the other side of the map. The interesting thing is, yes, there are Owner Bagisha, but because you already have an archer out, Heavily Fan can't really do much for those. And we have got the Imams in position, by the way. So Tech Up is going to be prepped soon by Louis. Love the fact that he's this confident to move out, right? Like, it seems very risky with Owner Bagisha in play, but the reality is, when you've already got the archer there nearby, there's no way one Bagisha will kill a 90 health unit quick enough here in Feudal Age. Alright, so Tech Up's on each side. Remember, an Imperial Armory down the way. Oh, this is tough, actually. I think Pink's in big trouble here. That delay on the outpost drop, I think it screwed with their timings, notably. It's kind of perplexing that the Japanese are teching up later than the Ottomans here. Especially considering the Ottoman player went for the military school. But you need to really think about the costs associated with what they've done here. They spent 150 on the racks, and then they spent another 160 resources on units. And for the love of God, like, Pink, please. Oh my God. What was that? No wonder your castle age is going to be later. Oh my God. So I think what happened there is that they went to click again, but the blueprint hadn't fully disappeared. Because clearly Baltoon's a Giga Chad gamer. He has an APM of 750. So that means he clicked so fast that he clicked too many times, and then the blueprint hadn't disappeared. Anyway, it looks like we are going to be kicking into Owner Bagisha. I don't like that. The problem with Owner Bagisha here is your opponent is going to have the double armor point, right? We've already got the meta being queued up. This is pretty much like the worst unit you can build right now, but in some ways you're handcuffed, right? Like we mentioned the melee armor as a big reason why Japan doesn't like this matchup. Another one you have to remember is the Janissaries. Mount Samurai don't last very long against Janissaries. Remember, Janissaries have a quicker attack speed than your standard hand cannoneers, and they get bonus damage against Cav. So it means that you don't waste as much time on that deflective armor shot. You just beast through it. And this is a ballsy build by Louis, considering that he hasn't even scouted the Mount Samurai. He's playing an expected comp. Right? Like, in his eyes, he thinks Pink is going to drop a stables, even though there's been a Rax first, and he's going to have his number. Big mistake being made there by Louis, though. I mean, realistically, now, you need to spot this quickly and get a men-at-arms, especially now that Pink has scouted you out. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the meta can be difficult to deal with, but he actually has to be there, and he's still 30 seconds out, so we'll be there at least for the fight. Looks like relics are being grabbed up. Pink has camped the one closest to Louis' base. Louis still does have two of these imams to work with. Weirdly enough... Yeah, okay, whoa. No, this is a lot more then. Yeah, he's got double relic back here. He's moving out for the other one on the flank. Oh my God. Guys, this is a 5 relic game from Louis. Oh, that is brutal. Onibigisha moving out to contest now, so maybe Louis can be stopped here. Has got the wall low. Pink will back away. The Shinto is coming, but reinforcements are on the way for Louis, so it looks like the Imam's like to go down here, but the Shinto should die as well. But what's happening elsewhere is what worries me. Janissary is clearing up the Onibigisha from the north side. One Janny versus two Onibigisha is not a fight you'll win, though. That's actually an expensive loss. Janissaries are not cheap, and he's actively producing 160 a pop. Trade on the right side does at least favor him, so it's going to be a pushback there. And he's already taken the other relic from the south side. Oh my god. This is one of the cleanest executions of a 5-relic grab I've seen from an Ottoman player. It's not easy to do this against the Japanese because Onibigisha can be really, really brutal to deal with. They're so simple to move around the map and intercept. But this is sick. Alright, Janissary this time should win. Should win. For the love of God, just target the injured one. They win now. There we go. It only cost you 320 resources, but who cares? You're about to be 5 relics richer. This is looking pretty bad right now for Pink. Once again, like this, I'm not 100% this battle tune. Like I said, I am 95. There's a small whisper in my ear of 1 or 2 other people could be, but this should be battle tune. It's interesting because he tried to get a little bit creative here, right? With the Onibigisha spam straight away. But now, I mean, now you're in hell, right? This feels pretty condemning. Because now if Louis just camps in his base, waits for 1 or 2 mangoes while he scales up men-at-arms and Gannies, you're in big trouble here. You don't have the gold mass to easily just, you know, spam Samurai and Onibigisha. You're playing 1 TC right now. And Louis is also, right now, gathering stone, by the looks of it. So we could even be considerably looking at, what, 2nd TC down the line? Okay, no, he's just sitting on 8 free stone for reasons undisclosed. Because he hasn't gone for an outpost either. I'm not sure what that was about. Walls up just in time. That was disgusting. Yeah, you need to be quick about this, by the way, because Onibigisha can attack through the wall like that, and they hit insanely hard against villagers. So good timing to just get away there. Raids are coming on the right side. Now, what Louis needs to do is hunker down, right? His army is very immobile, but if he holds the correct choke points in his own base, Onibigisha can't get in. Small raid coming in. Big raid on the way, though. Janny's already in position. Weirdly enough, Louis, a little bit of a misplay there. Wasn't attacking already. He's finally going to at least do so. Right side, new walls are going up. Second wave of Onibigisha are going to come in, but there should be enough Janissaries to push this back. And this is really go time for Pink. If this game goes on for 5 minutes from now, it's going to be out of his hands, right? The eco lead is already too big. 5 relics is no joke in this matchup. Melitech level 3 now on the way. Louis needs to make sure that he's toggling when the attack comes in on him here. He's going to stick to the attack speed instead. A little bit surprised by that. The melee armor is huge here, but he'll still get the mop up. And any game where you're spamming on a Onibigisha, but your opponent has more military force than you is not a good game. Right? Like, the whole idea with Onibigisha is to swarm and outnumber. Right now, there is no outnumber here. There is outnumbered. I do like that Pink is at least controlling the sacred sites. That's a really smart move. Because Louis' comp doesn't play out into the map, right? He's playing full camp mode. He's probably going to go towards Imp. So the best thing you can do if you're Pink is gather for a 2nd TC and capture the sacred sites. While your opponent is immobile, this gives you some leverage, right? It becomes an issue if he turns into Sipahi, but the reality is at 44 economy, even with 5 relics, you're not going to see a Sipahi rush build here, right? And yes, Louis did indeed go for the Sultanate trade network. Louis has actually been doing Sultanate trade network constantly at the moment, and I gotta say, I've been impressed by the results. I think the kid might be onto something. Madrissa has, to a certain degree, been overrated for a long time. I actually think ever since the meta switched to the Anatolian Hills again, where you get the 8 sheep spawn, Madrissa wasn't as quintessential as it once was. Decapping the Sennon. Villagers gonna have to run for their lives. I mean, the Onibigisha need to get together for a fight here. The interesting part is if he actually does bring all Bigisha to one location, I actually think he can beat 14 Jannies. You just ignore the men-at-arms, right? Another thing to be considerate of here is the fact that Onibigisha is insanely good at dealing with siege. They just attack so quick, right? It's the same reason why Golems are great against siege weapons, because siege has no melee armor whatsoever. And this is a big break-in. Louis, I think he needs to come home to deal with this. He can lose a lot of economy here. Only a third of them are going to be safe in the building. The rest are going to be running for their lives. The villagers have to shift outside the base to the right side. Reinforcing Janissaries are going to be mopped up. And weirdly enough, Louis is only now turning around from the center. Wow. And he might lose more for it. North side, he's trying to build up a gate, but against the Ondabagisha attack speed, that's going to be feeling pretty moot, pretty irrelevant. Several villagers likely to go down here. Pink will take every little thing he can get. He needs to get out of the base now, though. Army's coming home. If he gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar, he's going to be in danger. Mangoes, just look at how much they shred the siege. This is the crazy power of Ondabagisha. Even against all that repair. Burn through coming in on the north side. Notice that Louis cannot repair this, so he shouldn't be able to right now. Like, if Pink just moves in, he'll get the kill on the villager. He needs to quickly here. Otherwise, he's going to lose mass ladies at the back of the base, and it looks like that is going to be the case. Has to run away instead. Second wave is coming in. And suddenly this game's looking a little bit better for Pink, actually. Louis even committing into a second TC right under Avali Fan's eyes. This is bold. I don't know if I'd say it's entirely essential for Louis to do this, but apparently he feels pretty content with the idea of corner camping. Now, Avali Fan on the other side hasn't committed to a TC yet, but they're sitting on 500 stone. I actually think you go for the TC over the Daimyo level 2. The idea of scaling your eco a bit isn't bad here because you have agency on a map with a lot of berries and a lot of deer. Seems like instead, though, we're probably looking at an all-in 1 TC. I think they're a bit worried about the idea of Imp, right? In their mind, their win condition is now, which is understandable, right? If this game does go into Imperial Age, you will lose to the Ottoman comp. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't think he's going to break in again. So basically what we have here really is just a zombie game mode, if you think about it. It's Japanese zombies versus the Turkish defenders, right? This is like a 2024 version of the Call of Duty World at War, right? I don't really see a world in which you're going to come out if you're Louis, right? Like, he's kind of running a men-at-arms here or there, but realistically, you're going to see it in your base. And you're going to look for that big fight. And you're going to try to pressure Pink into doing it, but that's why I love that Pink has finally committed to that second TC. Because if they stuck on 1 TC, they'd have to go in. Now they're playing 2, they have a little bit more leeway to play a deeper game. Notice I say a little bit. Emphasize little bit a lot, because I do think if we get into the hyper late game now, the 5 relic difference is going to be too much for even the Japanese to overcome. Another thing I should warn you guys about, by the way, is Louis has a very particular way of doing Imperial if we get there. And it's one that won't be punishable by Pink, because Louis has been going for the Seagate Castle. If he imps it with a Seagate Castle, there's no way that Avali Fan can attack it. But we're not there yet. Gold is at least starting to be stockpiled up. Food is looking bleak for Louis. Ondabagisha, march on in. A handful of them to kill 1 Mango, worth it. The rest of them are going to split to the backside where farms are starting to come in, and Louis has got a lot of villagers stuck out here. So line formation and a grab. Even with textiles, you just see how quickly they die. Does need to target down specific villagers, otherwise he's getting no kills here. But he needs every little he can get, right? Just keep scaling that lead. It's now a 7 eco lead for the Japanese. Pocket eco is looking to be punished. This is kind of dicey, actually, because Louis, he's going to chase after the economy, and if Pink just goes around the back here, he could kill all the villagers. You've got, what, double outposts here? If you fortify, it's going to be safe, but against 20 Ondabagisha, the burn through is going to be fast. Louis bulking up on the men-at-arms now. What can get dicey about this is, at a heartbeat, a Japanese player can just switch into, and quite easily do so, into Samurai. Samurai Rodachi will eviscerate this entire comp if they get enough of them. Looks like we are going to get a burn through that, like we were talking about. Outposts going down. I mean, doesn't even need to get rid of it, right? 5 villagers get flopped dead. Moves on to the next one. This is how brutally fast the ladies are. Not just in movement speed, but attack speed as well. It's going to come at a price, though. Janissaries finally turn around to address the threat. Meanwhile, another raid coming in. This is relentless out of Pink. Okay, the more that I watch this, the more this does seem like Baltine. This is 100% Baltine's playstyle. He's a very aggressive player. When you put the ball in his court, he'll bounce it right up to your hoop. Right? Like, he's not the type of player to take his time with it. He can be strategic. If he needs to go deep, he needs to go late, sure. If he doesn't feel he's favored, great. But if he feels like his time to attack is now, I've noticed that Baltoon tends to just double barrel a lot. And this is truly a double barrel. Just Ona Begisha plus. What kind of ball is he bouncing? One full of nails. So when it pops, you just get impaled on it. And then the Ottoman player like, ah, my eyes! Okay, Jesus, this got dark. Did you guys see that Janissary? That looked like some really bad acting from the 80s when someone got shot. Like, he just kept recoiling from the Ona Begisha hits. It's like, oh. Everyone's like, in the audience is like, okay, just die already. Ona Begisha mass now 40 plus here. Louis still been unaddressed though. Like, this Janissary mass is eventually going to be the problem, right? That's why the mangoes are in play. Now, the interesting part is both sides have mangoes. No sprints yet from Louis. The thing that worries me a little for Louis, doesn't have a Siege Workshop, right? So you can't knee-jerk react. So what Pink's going to do here is try and hide those mangoes as long as possible. He's going to try to bait Louis out onto the map and then reveal the mangoes for maximum pain. Because remember, these Janissaries only have 90 health. In the center. Ooh, Pink. This is a few eco, but still has a notable lead. Wolves now going up behind this as well. Japan is so busted. Hills, you may be the only person in the history of AoE 4 of 2024 saying that. Actually, no, like not in 2024, but definitely in April. Most people are not getting good results with the Civ right now. Ona Begisha. Oh, he gets in. And remember, that's only half the Janissary. Sick fight coming in from Pink. So this is the edge we were talking about, right? It's mobility. Mobility is key here. The weakness of Louis' comm is he can't react on the flanks like this. His army's going to instead try to go in, but remember, those mangoes are waiting, and this could easily cost Louis dearly. A man who has 0 anti-siege approaching the walls. Mangoes wheeling up. They might just about be quick enough here. Ona Begisha, in the meantime, continue their raids even deeper. The mangoes are looking for the big shot to the backside. One big wallop, second one comes in, and all of a sudden the Janissary goes smush. Oh boy. And thank you very much for the sub pulling around. That was vicious. I can't believe Pink's doing this. Torch comes in as well. Fortified outposts are going down, and that means that Louis' attempts to sneak Imperial off of 2TC are backfiring. And they're backfiring fast. 65 to 80 eco, 38 to 47 military. Siege lead is even sitting with Pink right now. In fact, Avli fan number 2 is going up to 5 mangonels. And what I want you guys to be conscious of is only one side can snipe mangoes easily, and it's not Louis, right? Like, if they both have mangoes, Ona Begisha can run into the back and snipe those out. You can't do the same with Janissaries. Janissaries hit too low. They'll do 1 damage to a mango. Your men-at-arms aren't going to be quick there either. So this game, it ain't getting easier from here on out. If Louis continues his current path, it's one set up for disaster. It's why he's looking for the way out. Imp on the way. Getting the mango still is just so worth. Now, one weakness for Pink is this is a very heavy investment. They've prepped Samurai behind this. This is an all-in. We talked about this already, right? So Louis, if this is a Seagate Castle, he could survive this. But it has to be the defensive landmark. If he's greedy about this, if he goes for the observatory, he will not have a reliable defense. And there it is, Seagate Castle. But this will even fail because of where he's doing it. Pink should be going. No way. Avli fan doesn't sense it. So Louis is gonna get the keep up. Oh, this is huge. This is absolutely obnoxiously huge. And also the location, if I'm not mistaken, he'll get a clip on his traders across to this neutral trade post. That's big, because remember, the Seagate Castle doesn't just give an increased movement speed. It gives 8 armor against an opponent who's been spamming Ona Begisha. So your Ona Begisha against traders will hit for a very pathetic 1 damage. I can't believe that. Ping just didn't have any scouting going on, right? Like, this is the brutal thing about this build. They focused on Raxes, they only done Raxes, they only know Raxes. It means they never got a stables to prep scouts again. They've been playing blind, right? You can see it in the vision, right? These Ona Begisha just run in, they do the damage, but they never really know what's ahead of them. And now, Pink just got the news of what's ahead of him. An imped up Ottoman player. Great Bombard immediately gets queued up. Janissary upgrades get queued up. Seagate Castle now in position, and it looks like I'm right. Yeah, this will clip. So if you run out the Sultanate trade network, you should just about get touched by the aura. And remember, the aura lasts for, I think it's, check and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 20 seconds. You'd think they'd add that detail to the overlay, but no. So pink, gonna cancel, gonna deck up as well. Now, usually you'd favor Ottomans 100% here, because Great Bombards, I mean, even if Ayyubid get to them, they're so tanky. And Janissaries in the late game are pretty nuts, right? Add in a reasonable front line, and you should be able to just cut down everything that comes your way. But I think this is a bit different, considering the Ottoman players sacrificed the production speed of Observatory. That's a very big difference in this matchup. And they're not actively trading right now, right? Like, they're going to prep for it later. This is Louis prepping for a hyper late game. But for now, this Seagate Castle is quite simply a very expensive Barbican. It's like flank forces get cleaned up. Pink, of course, did go up the Tanagasham Gunsmith, so we will be seeing the Daka boys down the line. Second TC has kept them in contention and ahead. Just look at that difference in economy. 76 to 102. And we should be looking at Shogunate Castle soon. They're gathering on the stone as we speak. Once that's online, this is going to be a non-stop meat grinder. And remember what we said, without the Observatory, Louis' capability to match that grind is significantly lower. He has at least now got the stone walls up, so he won't have to worry about flanking anymore. It's just straight down the center. This is smart play by Louis. I mean, Avali's biggest play in the late game, we see it time and time again for the Japanese. Whether it's Castle or Imperial Age, Ayyubid can usually break a person. It's similar to the Palace Guard logic, but not today. Now, one thing that I find interesting here is Pink revealed these mangoes, and Louis still hasn't reacted to them. Louis, by the way, has an absurd number of metas. Like, are you seeing this? And hello, Baltoon. How's it going, buddy? It is you, isn't it? I knew it was you. Yo, Baltoon, what do you think of Louis' 6 meta build? That's quite an insane number of drummers. I mean, I think he's just starting up his own band at this point, right? Might get a marching parade going. The crazy part is if the 5 mangoes hit, I'm pretty sure the metas just die instantly, right? And no, they've got biology now. They stack. God, could you imagine? If they stacked, Philipsburg would be an Ottoman, man. Oda Tactics on the way, Military Academy as well. Notice that Pink isn't committing too hard. He has a big hook, line, and sinker here, and it's the fact that Louis actually has no counter to the mangoes right now. Even these men-at-arms, if they get walloped by the mangoes, they're going to get smushed. And that's a good question, actually. Who wins between Palace Guards and Ayyubid? Even resources. Well, here's the thing. If you are able to reach their economy, Ayyubid can win because they can kill Eco quicker. But direct fights, which is usually what happens because late game Palace Guard have got the Imperial Palace buff, right? They got Yuan Dynasty, so they move basically as quick as Ayyubid. That will favor Palace Guard 100%. Right, especially when you consider you've got Battle Hardened on top of just higher melee and armor. Right, it's not even close. It's ridiculous how easily Ayyubid should lose that fight. But, like, you will have more Ayyubid than the Palace Guard, right? Same cost, you'd have 1.5 Ayyubid to every Palace Guard. I'd still favor the Palace Guard there. They're vicious in that situation. Push coming in, more walls going up. Louis has fallen back completely. Only one Great Bombard so far, and the Samurai march in. Seagate Castle contributing a grand total of Duckle in this game. I mean, this is the most underwhelming usage I've seen him apply to Seagate Castle. Like, he's not even using it for the trade behind this. I was wondering, why did he go Seagate Castle so he couldn't get all in? He was hoping that would be enough to slow things down, but what he was not anticipating was Pink slowing down, teching up, and then coming in with a torch-heavy Oda tactic strat to overwhelm the keep. And now this game looks over. We talked about the lack of anti-siege. The mango count is way too high. Men-at-Arms are at least going to march around the back here to try and clear it up. But the price is already too high. Louis MT has just lost the military lead. Mangoes are at least going to be mopped up. I don't think they're really needed anymore, right? The Janissary count isn't insanely large here. The Samurai count most definitely is. We're talking about 50+ elite Samurai trekking their way across the map to bring an end to the Turkish Empire. That is wild, by the way. To think that we arrived in this late game, I mean, this is the weird thing, right? I think if you play a more standard form of Ottomans here with the Istanbul Observatory, I would have favored them at this point in the game. The raids were really good from Pink, but like at this stage, most of the damage has been offset, right? Like 96 eco to 109, and you have 5 relics still. But the lack of that extra production for the Seagate Castle instead, this Seagate Castle that he hasn't really used, by the way, right? It hasn't buffed the traders because the traders haven't been coming by here. This is a big question mark to me. Louis is usually better at utilizing this build. He always clips the aura. We've seen him do it on maps like Lipany, Dry Arabia, and it looks so damn good. But this is doing nothing for him. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, maybe the goal here was he was going to drop keeps on the trade line. Because remember, that aura affects all keeps. But we've got none. So we've got no aura at all. And we're at the beginning of trade. And I think Pink also understood the moment he saw the Seagate Castle what this was. This clearly had to be a trade build. It kind of already was obvious because Louis is only doing trade builds right now. And that means, right now, you're about as weak as you can be. Meanwhile, Pink is reaching new heights. Ozutsu count about to go double digits. Springle count is high. High enough to crush the Great Bombards. And the mass samurai have re-emerged. March in. Seagate Castle is not going to get repaired here. Ozutsu milking these choke points to snipe up wherever they can. Outposts also being taken out in quick succession. The men-at-arms line simply isn't big enough here, guys. This is the problem. Samurai are getting in. Janissaries are trying to hide themselves, but I think it matters a little at this point. Ping, like a dog with a bone, has bitten in as is refusing to let go. Onibigisha follow-up is exactly what you need here. Right now, the only negative I'd target rather, I think, yeah, we'll flame him, is the fact that he hasn't got full production and he's producing Samurai. Onibigisha offset that issue because they get here so quick. His whole goal now is to overwhelm Louis so he can't reboom. Because Louis' comp doesn't have that extra production, and he knows it because he sees the Seagate Castle. So if you just keep throwing Onibigisha at him, you'll eventually hit the Janissary line. In the meantime, you can just keep trading Janny with Ozutsu, and because Janissaries usually cluster up, Ozutsu will get decent slash. Got more Great Bombards at least come out. Siege Works is on the way, but the Springle count continues to escalate. Gold, as it stands, is running a little bit dry in this game for Pink. He is trying to excursion out into the center of the map. Big fat golds are being taken by Louis as well. One weakness, if I could highlight a very important one here for Pink, is gold. This is a zero relic game. You can Yorishiro all you want, but that still hard caps your ability to pay for Samurai and Bagisha. So the tough balance point that Pink now has to make is how do I continuously pressure with limited gold without running out? And I think if they just resecure this central gold, they should be fine. They should have enough to break in. Because at this point, Louis MT looks like he's on the verge. Trade setup? I mean, trade counts at 14. It is scaling, though. And he did go for trade bags, right? 109 gold each way. I think if Pink can get enough of these Ozutsu together, he might be able to break in. He hasn't got the Yumi, though. That's a really big blunder. Chem is on the way, but here's the thing, guys. Chemistry is 1,000 resources. Pay 150 Fibonacci range, build a Yumi, and all of a sudden, congrats, you now have +5 damage, which is almost as good as Chem. Oh, I'm aware of how good trade bags are, Philly. I know. In fact, I think this is where we're probably going to see Louis build a keep, right? Because at this stage, you should have surplus income coming in. So yeah, he's marching for the stone now. If he gets this keep up, this is definitely going to be a GG. Oh yeah, no, I know Baltoon. Like, this account is not subtle at all. Great Bombards. This one's going to move in. Okay, what was that? Oh, no! I can't believe he's done this, man. I was convinced just 2-3 minutes ago that Pink was going to be able to break through. But the skin of his teeth, Louis held the line. And now, with this many men-at-arms and just a few great bombards, we have a problem. And it's a big one. Wow. I am a bit flummoxed here. I can't believe this. Baltoon, you know, he had me going for a second. For a second, I believed that this is the way. But now, this headbutt approach down the center. Walls up, Seagate Castle almost complete again. Chemistry coming through on the great bombards. This is a difficult ask. He needs Springald Dominion. If he cannot maintain Springald Siege advantage, then he won't beat this. So keep an eye on that. He has got the gold to rebolster once more. But if he loses that advantage, guys, what I need you to realize is nothing else can kill the siege. Onabagisha will struggle because they'll get behind the walls. Azutsu will do a total of 1 damage per shot against Great Bombards. Samurai almost get it there. Kind of getting a little bit baited here, though. If you had a backline, agreed. I think your problem here is you got baited by Azutsu, right? It's like, these are great for buildings, but you're noticing how underwhelming they are for men-at-arms and whatnot. The crazy thing is, like, they even made the hand cannoneers Ashigaru in name, right? Like, just build these, and you have a shot here. With Kem and Yumi, you can actually contest the Janissaries on the other side, but without it, I just think Ozutsu are overrated. Like, I warned about this. Everyone thought Ozutsu were OP, and they were a little bit broken when they first came out, but the Baldy Boys now only have 1 relevant role, and that's for sniping buildings. Everything else feels terrible. Even the splash damage I mentioned is kind of a catch-22, right? Where, like, you would get a good shot here, but a lot of the times, the AoE splash is bugged. It doesn't come through properly. Avali is like, when in Japan, must activate attack on time. We're queuing up a lot of scouts here. This is definitely over now. It's 23 traders with trade bags. They may not have the aura increasing their movement speed, but I don't think it matters anymore. The gold reserves just look too good to break. And Pink is about to be out of gold. 1.3k left over here. And then that is it. Only Yorishiro gold, amounting to a grand total of 450 gold income a minute. If you consider how many samurais are dying in these fights, that's not going to be sustainable for long. Yeah. I think that in this position as well, Baltoon, like, you have to assume he's trading, right? Like, just setting up a siege workshop, breaking this wall, and sending in 10 on a Bagisha. That's a play that's feasible here. Because Louis' comp doesn't move fast, right? He's only approaching your base now because you've been going back and forth for so long, right? But now it's undeniable. With the army being this big, I just think this is going to be a full retreat and a GG. Men-at-Arms got to the Springs again. I actually can't believe he's doing this, just running past the Samurai like it's nothing. I mean, you'd think he's missing a tech, but he's not. Adachi tech is there. There's just these Men-at-Arms are so ridiculously tanky. If I had to, like, play devil's advocate, by the way, the reason why Baltoon hasn't gone for the trade is he sees the Seagate Castle. So his assumption, which has made an ass out of him in this situation, is that there's a Seagate Castle on the trade, right? Which would be reasonable. Which means that these traders would have 11 armor, so your Onabagisha raids would tickle. They wouldn't do anything. I think that's another reason why maybe Pink didn't think about going down the sides, but you assume you could break him straight up. I think it's that baiting feeling, right? Like, you were on the verge of breaking before. I actually think your biggest mistake, and I see this so many times, like I think it's going to be the biggest next evolution in AoE 4, is moving your production forward. So many people just don't move into the mid-map when they take tempo. If you built 6 Raxes out here, you would have had enough push to break him, right? But because you didn't do that, you need to take a flank approach. If you think about these type of builds for base structuring, they've always worked in games where people cut the eco. If you're not going to cut eco, but instead dictate the fact that you have better army quality, you need to make sure your army quality is there. Otherwise, defender's advantage is a very real and big thing. Louis queues up great bombards. All right, he's had enough of you. You're getting out of this game pretty quick now. Oh my god. Chinese just going to stand the ground untouched. And that's going to be a GG. He got out of it before the mass great bombards arrived. I cannot believe this. A game which should have been dominated by Ottomans was dominated by the Japanese, and it looked so close. But in the end, Baltun found himself in a late game where the Ottomans, still to this day, are heavily favored, and Louis proves why.